Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be very clear about something in this video. I personally think that this is the most intense period of time Bitcoin has seen in the entirety of 2023. Now, I actually said that in a video a month ago, and I'm going to be retracting that statement from before. I'm going to be moving it back to now. I think that this period, where we're at right now, is the most intense period of time in the entirety of 2023. Why do I think that? I think that because Bitcoin has seen a supposed breakout of the bull market support band, but in reality, we are actually inside of the bull market support band in the 600 USD range, testing it for both resistance and support at the same time. And we know for a fact now, through the information I'm giving in this video, that this breakout, either up or down below bull market support band, will lead to unimaginable effects on the macro scale for this range between 24.5 and 32K. This is a very confusing price range. It's very intense. It's very important. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the video. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as I said in the introduction to this video, Bitcoin is in a very tense position, and actually probably one of the most kind of frightening positions in a weird way that it's been in for a very, very long time. I'm actually quite on edge in this time period for Bitcoin. It really is in quite a tedious position. So we'll get into that by looking into the weekly chart, the bull market support band specifically, and the rejection from the RSI resistance line. We'll get into that by looking into Bitcoin ranges. Actually, that'll be the first chart, give you context of the situation. Bitcoin daily chart is very interesting as well. 4-hourly chart gives us a more magnified perspective of what the daily chart already shows us in relation to that bull market support band and in relation to the resistance and support zones for Bitcoin as well. Also giving, an analysis on what are the levels we need to hold for the upside and the downside in short term. We'll look into the bear case scenario for Bitcoin in case this does develop worse. Ethereum is relatively interesting right now. And finally, DXY and S&P 500 to kind of show you guys concretely that it's not really the traditional markets that have any effect on Bitcoin at the moment. It's kind of Bitcoin in its own battle. So we'll get into all of that in this video in kind of that order almost. Before we do any of that, go to Telegram and check out the VIP information group. This is a free group on Telegram that will be ramping up because we have seen now volatility start to kick off. The last 6 months has been low volatility. Volatility is probably starting to kick off again, and it especially will start to kick off again after the halving, which is 6 months away. VIP group is going to be great during that period of time because you've got altcoin trading signals to take advantage of the volatility. So go ahead and check out the VIP group on Telegram. All the information's on this page. You can join for free, including the VIP results and also a 14-day free trial if you're interested in checking it out for free. So guys, without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Now, I want to start with the weekly chart. I want to start with the Bitcoin range bound construction chart. This is a chart many of you would have seen before. I apologize if I'm being repetitive by bringing it up again, but we have to bring it up. We have to give context to the situation. It's part of the game. So go ahead and just check this chart out just briefly. We have three distinctive ranges for Bitcoin. We have the red range, the orange range, and the green range. Now, obviously, I've just chosen those colors randomly. They don't mean anything objectively, but what they do mean and what they do identify are the three ranges: the range between 18k and 15k, the range between 18k and 24.5k, and the range between 24.5k and 32k. So as of right now, obviously, we are in the green range, and hence we are between 32k and 24.5k, and hence until one of these levels break, until we break above 32k or until we break below 24.5, nothing has really happened on a macro scale. It's very important to note that this is a playground. This is an isolated environment. What happens between 24.5k and 32k doesn't directly affect the macro. Now, what happens between 24.5k and 32k can lead to higher or lower likelihoods of a breakout either up or below the range, okay? That's what it means. So right now, the only real levels on a macro scale you need to know about, and this has been the case since March, by the way, it's been the case for a long time, is 24.5 and 32. But obviously, that doesn't really help us because we've been in that range for so long and it doesn't really give us an indication of where Bitcoin's going next. So that's the macro view. Now we have to zoom in, all right? What's happening within the range? What's actually happening that's important within this range? Well, this is the range of a daily chart. Between this green box and the red box, it's the same range we just looked at in the weekly. We can see bouncing, lots of bouncing, going up, rejecting, going down, support bounce, rejecting, support bounce, and right now we're in the middle of a bounce. We're in an uptrend right now. We're in a medium-term uptrend on Bitcoin within the larger range. As you can see, what we have here is higher lows, okay, and higher highs, medium-term uptrend. Longer term, it's still technically a downtrend, lower highs and lower lows. So it's kind of in between. We're kind of really on a neutral kind of standpoint. Yes, we've broken above this yellow resistance line. Yes, we've seen a move upwards because of that. But right now, if we're looking short term, and we'll dive back into the weekly chart in a second, if we're looking short term, what are the critical levels for Bitcoin? Well, the critical levels on short term, trying to narrow it down further, really, I mean, what they are these. They are this pink line, okay? And this pink line you can see is drawn at 28.6k. That is the dividing line. In the middle, okay, of the larger range between 32k and 24.5. So what you can see, the two red lines are the larger macro range I just showed you before, okay? 32 and 24.5, and this pink line in between, 28.6, is dividing the range in two. So we have the larger macro range, and then within the macro range, we have the two micro ranges. We have the range between 28.6 and 32, and we have the range below 28.6 between 24.5 and 28.6. Okay, so the two micro ranges within the larger macro range. As you can see, we're currently rejecting from the breakout point into the upper micro range of this macro range. I know I'm using a lot of words here. I know it might be confusing, but basically all you need to know is this. On a macro scale, 24.5k and 32k are the important levels. Zooming in and kind of getting a shorter term perspective, we can add 28.6k to that list. If we break above 28.6k, it becomes likely we'll be testing 32k. And if we're below 28.6k, it becomes likely we'll be testing 24.5k. So this is the bearish part of the range. This is the bullish part of the range. Right now, we are still technically speaking in the bearish part of the range, and we're struggling. We're struggling to break above the bullish part of the range. We're struggling to get above 28.6k. Why are we struggling? Here's why. This is the weekly chart, okay? Now, what I've been saying for a long time on Bitcoin, throughout the entirety of this downwards trend, okay, since we broke below it here in August, I said we need to get above the bull market support band on Bitcoin, okay? The bull market support band on Bitcoin, let's go back logarithmic and let's check it out. Bull market support band on Bitcoin, this orange line, it consists of the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA. As you can see, when we have held this line for support, we have been in vicious uptrends. This line held for support throughout the entirety of the 2016 to 2018 bull market. For 2 years, it did not break to the downside once, and every single correction bounced off of it, making it one of the most easy to trade market environments in the entire price history of cryptocurrency between 2016 and 2018. Same thing happens for the downside. When we finally broke below it after 2 years, it acted as resistance throughout the entire bear market, and we did not go upwards on Bitcoin until we broke above it. And this is kind of repeated over time, right? 2020, same story. 2021, same story. Most of the bear market we held for resistance, most of the bull market we held for support. As of right now, you know, we broke above it here in January. We went up from 19k all the way to 32k after that break. Obviously, it's still very important for that reason. We've finally broken back below it in August. And I said, guys, if we want to avoid a further drop on Bitcoin, we need to be getting back above it. What did we do over the last few weeks? Well, technically speaking, we just barely, okay, I'm talking like less than 20 USD. We just barely closed above it. Now, I said at the time that was a break, but I'm not too confident it was. I actually take that back. I don't think we've broken above this line. Yes, technically speaking, we did close above it by 20 USD, but I actually don't think this line has broken for resistance. And as you can see, the developing price action right now in the last 2 weeks has shown that to be true. We saw a bearish doji candle right after the supposed break, and we're in the midst of seeing a rejection candle, which would form, by the way, an evening star candlestick formation. An evening star candlestick formation is when you see an upwards rally into a doji candle, into a red candle. If this candle in 5 days closes red, that will be an evening star formation for Bitcoin. And therefore, if in 5 days this candle closes red, that would lead to further downwards price action on Bitcoin and a retest of 24.5k. And I'll tell you this much, I don't think that 24.5k will hold at another retest, because that would be 3 distinctive macro retests while in the same range. I think 24.5k would break. So I think it's very important that Bitcoin manages to hold this weekly candle at green, or at least not too red, because if we don't, we're going to be testing 24.5, and I don't trust it to hold again. If we go down to this green box again, I don't think it will hold. I think we'll break below it, and I think that will trigger a bear case scenario. Now, I have a lot more to talk about in the weekly chart, so bear with me. I have comparisons to make from previous times in market history, but I just want to quickly interrupt this video for a brief advertisement for the Bitget and Bingx exchange. I've handpicked these exchanges. Check them out. Guys, be back in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a little news flash for you. You trust exchanges with your money. They get hacked all the time. They lose funds all the time. So the exchange you're using, you're actually trusting with your money. You're also paying them fees for trades. You're paying up to thousands, tens of thousands of dollars per year in fees. So you want to have a bloody good exchange, right? And that's why I have two exchanges for you guys, two options depending on your location, depending on what you want from exchange. The first one is Bitget. That is a KYC exchange. You can sign up from anywhere in the world, excluding the United States, excluding Canada, and excluding Singapore. Very low fees, protection fund, the whole 9 yards. We've also got Bingx, that's our second exchange, and that is an exchange you can sign up non-KYC from anywhere in the world, including every country, right? With a VPN from anywhere in the world. Again, very low fees, protection fund, everything you need in an exchange. Both of these exchanges are top 10 exchanges in trading volume. Sign up using my referral link below to get a 15% trading fee discount on both of the exchanges. Again, they'll both be in the description. Referral link is there. Get on a good exchange and become a proper trader. Don't use these trashy exchanges that you're risking your money and paying over in fees. Guys, let's get back into the video. So I'm back. As we said before, this bull market support band is technically not broken, okay? And before we get into comparisons to previous times in market cycles, and before we get into what we need to do, we need to amplify that point. That point is very clearly amplified by what we're seeing on the daily chart and the 4-hourly chart. As you can see on the 4-hourly chart, the same bull market support band in orange is very clearly not broken. In fact, we are inside of it. I mean that quite literally. We are inside of the bull market support band, all right? We broke above it very briefly. We went back down below it. You can see right now the very micro range for Bitcoin is very clearly within the bull market support band. Right now, the bull market support band is holding this 27.2K support zone, okay? It's making Bitcoin hold that level. However, you know, there's only so long we can be testing in between these levels. We're going to have to break up or down. If we break downwards, we will be going back down for a range retest, potentially. Going back down for a retest of this upwards trend. If we lose that upwards trend, we'll go down for a range retest of this green box. And if we test that green box, it's very likely to break down. So Bitcoin is a very fragile position for a downside break. If we downside break, it's not technically over, but it becomes very bad for Bitcoin. We don't want to be breaking down here. Okay? And if we break upwards and we finally definitively hold that bull market support band, it becomes very likely we break above 28.6K, which as I said before, gets us back in the bullish micro range within this larger macro range. So basically, we're in like a, less than 1,000 USD price range for Bitcoin within this bull market support band. 600, 700 USD. And what happens next in that range is actually very important for flipping Bitcoin short-term bullish or short-term bearish, and will have massive effects on the Bitcoin long-term, as it will mean either a break above 28.6K and hence retest of 32, or potentially retest of this green box and hence a potential breakdown. So, it really is a critical kind of crunching moment for Bitcoin. And if we're looking back historically, similar moments we've had like this in market history. We have a similar moment over here. Unfortunately, it didn't end up well. This is March 2022. We were in a downwards trend. We bounced upwards. We saw green candle, doji candle, red candle forming that evening star pattern around the same kind of bull market support band. And right now we're seeing a similar pattern, right? We saw downwards trend. Okay, upwards trend, green candle, doji candle, potential red candle. If we follow what we did over here in March 2022, this could end quite badly for Bitcoin, unfortunately. So I'm hoping we do not do that. I'm hoping that Bitcoin somehow finds the strength to hold the bottom of this band. Right now, it is not a breakdown yet. Bitcoin is not bearish yet. There's no breakdown yet at this point in time. And technically speaking, on a macro scale, there's no proper breakdown to a 24.5K is gone. But I can tell you right now that this weekly candle we're in right now is going to be massively important for Bitcoin. And so 5 days from now, we will know quite a lot more about the Bitcoin range than we do now. Unfortunately, Bitcoin is just refusing to make a decision. It's been refusing to make a decision since March, and it's getting quite frustrating for market participants. It's getting quite frustrating for me as well, because obviously I'm a scalp trader, I'm a swing trader. I profit off volatility, and the volatility has been quite low. In fact, it's been the lowest it's been for like 3 or 4 years, and the range is quite confusing. I'll say that first and forehand. Right here as a trader, market analyst who spends 60 to 70 hours a week staring at charts, I can say right now that this range has been one of the most confusing ranges in Bitcoin's entire price history that I've personally experienced. So I can only imagine what the average investor is going through. Unfortunately, the clarity is still not there. The clarity we need is still not present for Bitcoin. It's been like that for a while. It's still the case. Hopefully it comes soon. Hopefully this weekly candle will be the last period of uncertainty we have. I can tell you right now, if we break 28.6K to the upside, Bitcoin starts looking very strong again. But until then, it doesn't look strong. We need to be seeing that 28.6k break. I thought maybe this bull market support band was broken the other week. Unfortunately, it clearly wasn't. Unfortunately, it was a clearly very small fake out. Perhaps we weren't meant to go that high. Perhaps, 20 USD is not enough to confirm a breakout, and that seemed to be the case. But as of right now, we're still testing that bull market support band. We're still in the critical level. What about bear case? If we do break down below bull market support band, if we do break down below 24.5k, well, we activate a bear case scenario. Now, luckily for us, the bear case is not actually bad. It's not bad on macro. Luckily for us, the 4-year cycle was very strong, and in order to break the 4-year cycle, we'd have to go all the way back down to 15k. I don't think that's very likely. The bear case, if we break down below bull market support band, for example, we could come down, test this yellow line that's been uptrending since 2017. That would be a test of the lower 20k region. Perhaps we'd break 24.5 in the process. There is actually even a possibility where we test this yellow line without breaking 24.5k, and that possibility could come with a retest of this line in January, or it could come with a very strong wick downwards to retest the line while holding 24.5 on a weekly candle. And, I think the bear case right now, even if we do go down for Bitcoin, isn't actually as threatening as people might think it is. As long as we don't see a prolonged break of 24.5, there's no real massive threat. I think this yellow line that's uptrending since 2017, back here in July 2017, could actually save Bitcoin from massive downside price action. It's when we break below that yellow line that we really start getting into risky territory. So hopefully that can hold. We do have a couple of lifelines for Bitcoin, as I've just demonstrated. It's not really the end of the world yet. Traditional markets aren't really telling us much for Bitcoin at all. In the entire period of time that Bitcoin was in an upwards trend, the DXY was in an upwards trend. That's not meant to happen. DXY going up is meant to be bad for Bitcoin, and the entire price period in the last 5 or 6 days where the DXY has been in a downwards trend, Bitcoin's been going sideways. Again, this is meant to be bullish for Bitcoin. Bitcoin saw neutral price action. Meant nothing. Same thing with S&P 500. S&P 500 has been bouncing over the last 5 or 6 days, and Bitcoin's been going sideways. In the time period where S&P was going down, Bitcoin was going upwards. The traditional markets right now are as good as trash in terms of predicting what's going to happen with Bitcoin right now. They haven't been good for that in basically close to a year, I'd say. So I think the obsession with traditional markets we've been seeing is quite misled, misguided. I don't think it's relevant. I don't think it means anything. I just wanted to confirm that point and reiterate that point by looking at these charts today. Ethereum is interesting. Ethereum could be foreshadowing something bad for Bitcoin. We have broken below the yellow macro uptrending logarithmic line for Ethereum that was kind of forming since June 2022. That's finally been broken. If that is any degree of foreshadowing for Bitcoin, it could lead to a breakdown for Bitcoin. Luckily for Ethereum, there is a complicating factor, and that is the downwards trend. You see the downwards channel, descending channel in red, and we're leaning towards support for that now, so perhaps there is a lifeline there as well. It's a good thing, but unfortunately it just adds to the uncertainty of the situation. Unfortunately, just to summarize the video, I think I'll wrap it up here. Bitcoin saw technically a price breakout of bull market support band, but it's become very evident that that price breakout wasn't enough to actually break the bull market support band properly, and we're very much in the bull market support band, making this one of the most intense moments in Bitcoin history. Is it going to break above bull market support band? Is it going to break below it? What's the deal here? And 28.6k being the critical level to the upside, 27.3 to the downside. There really are lots of things going on, and I think this very tight price range is causing a lot of intensity. This is perhaps one of the most intense moments I've seen on Bitcoin in 2023. And I know I said that quite a few times this year, but unfortunately, I think it's just true. I think being inside of the bull market support band makes this one of the most complicated moments I've ever seen in Bitcoin's price history. I don't think I've seen something like this before. To be honest with you, I actually don't think I've seen something like this before. If I have, it hasn't been for a long time, that's for sure. This is very, very intense, and this really represents how uncertain the market is right now. Not only the market, but the market participants, right? Because if the market participants, the people who drive the price action, had a clear, definitive view, if the bulls were stronger, if the bears were stronger, we'd be moving in that direction. The fact of the matter is, the market itself, the whole market, including all the market participants, are on the fence. And that is illustrated perfectly in the price action. This is a very intense moment, and I highly recommend you keep watching the content I release as we update the price action in this region. Guys, thank you for watching in advance. Well, not really in advance, but thank you for watching, I should say. Hope you enjoyed. Check out the Crypto Academy, become a trader 10-unit course. If you want to learn how to analyze charts like myself, you can check out this course. It was developed and made by myself and Mega Whale Crypto. Mega Crypto you can find down here. He's on YouTube. He's a great analyst. We work closely. This course teaches you everything you need to know about trading. All the information is on the website. Check that out. Also check out the VIP group. Check out the Bingx exchange. It's global. And the Bitget exchange if you want a KYC exchange. Guys, thanks for watching. Cheers.